not bagging out of I feel secure in all the profit. And going outside, don't know what you hearing, so miss me with that gossip. Saying sucker free from option, let someone get out of pocket. Whoa, we come from different walks of life, but relate to the same cause. Silent live, live the fight, laid up behind them hospital walls. They focus like the face, but like syringes sharper than a knife. Take a cookie from the
Hey guys, good evening. We're glad you can be here with us today.
Hey guys, welcome back.
So we've missed you, but we have a good show planned for you today. We have Dr. Parnel Abraham here with us, and he's been working with the sickle cell community for over 35 years. He has 15 plus years of holistic health management, and we think he'll have a lot of good information for you guys today. So I'm glad you're tuning in.
Yes. I know some of you guys have reached out to me for a few questions for Dr. Abraham. So let's get right into it. So let's start with generally speaking for sickle cell, people dealing with sickle cell. What do what's the basics that we should have in our diet? Let's start there in dealing with sickle cell disease.
Well, I cut off a bit. Let me start first of all with saying thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you guys for first of all, and for being in your presence. So I really appreciate that. Now, in regards to the question, specifically, I can't really say like what's good for one and good for all. I always tell people you always got to include your greens. Greens are the top notch. You always got to do your greens. Again, some people may be able to digest kale, some may not. Some like spinach, some do not. But I always say you have to go with steamed vegetables, boiled meat, baked meat. Those are the top notch I would start with as far as dietary. Hopefully that give you some type of clarity into where I'm going with this. Because like I said, I don't want to go take this, take that, take this, take that, because it does not fit for all. Regardless, it doesn't work in the orthodox medicine world and doesn't work in natural health either.
Repeat that last part.
I say it will not work in the orthodox medical world, which is our standard medical practice, where we think is one thing works for everyone. It does not, and it doesn't work in the holistic world either.
Yeah, that's a good point because I know beets are good for people who have to get chronic blood transfusions. And I'm not one of those people, so I wouldn't necessarily increase on my iron. Or like Jennifer, she takes Coumadin, so I'm sorry to tell your business, but she can't really eat leafy green vegetables because of her body type. So that's a good point.
It's not that I can't, it's just that I have to, account for that with my Coumadin. So like for people who do take Coumadin, their doctors are like, don't have leafy greens. Like I love salad. So like that's just something that I couldn't cut from my diet, but it was something that I was willing to speak to my doctor, like, okay, so I'm not willing to cut that from my diet. How can we adjust that medicine so that I can still have that? Because why would I want to take the medicine instead of like the natural food that we're given on this earth?
And I agree with you, Jennifer.
Right.
That is the proper protocol. You always want to speak with your physician, because what they always have to do is to adjust the medication for your natural food that you are taking in. You don't want to ignore natural food and just live off medication, because it doesn't work for the body that way. So it's a great analogy that you discovered and shared with your physician, that they could adjust your medication in accordance to your dietary intake.
Okay, so I have another question for people with vitamin D deficiency. I can't remember if it was African American people specifically or people living with sickle cell specifically, but we tend to have a vitamin D deficiency. So I spend most of my day outside. Is that enough to replace my vitamin D3 supplement?
Well, it helps, but I wouldn't say it's just enough, because we do have to supplement. The challenge we have today is that the earth has changed. So we are not getting the vitamin and minerals from the land itself. So therefore, when you harvest anything within the ground, which is our agriculture, you're not going to get a balanced supplement of minerals in there, a balanced supplement of vitamins. So therefore, just eating the right way is not enough. You do have to do some additional supplement. And very often people with vitamin D deficiency, they do have to supplement with vitamin D. And I always suggest D3, not D2, because D2 is the most of a synthetic version. So you want to go with D3, which is more a natural version of what your body accepts and what your body will process.
Okay. I have a question. So a lot of people that I know, especially within the sickle cell community, are like, done with taking meds. They don't want to take, all the drugs that they prescribe us, even though, like, you may be suffering with this or that and the other thing. We just have to figure out another way. Like, we're over taking so many meds all the time. And they're like, okay, well, I want to switch to a more holistic approach. But they try it like maybe for a week and they're like, it didn't work, so I have to go back. So can you speak to the fact that, that's not an overnight process? Like, how long should somebody continue on a natural path before they can expect to start seeing results? I guess that's what I'm saying.
And this brings up the point where I said not everything works for everyone the same way. Reason being, sometimes people just want to approach a holistic way instead of taking medication. There's a need for both. There are times you require medication. It's needed, your body needed, and it does assist you. But at the same time, even with holistic, sometimes people decide they want to do holistic and see it work. Well, if your body is not processing things in the first place, you could do all the holistic you want. But if your digestive system is off balance, where you can't process any vitamins, you can't process any natural products, so therefore you're quick to say it doesn't work. It just means that the holistic approach wasn't initiated in the proper way to find out, okay, am I absorbing? Is it good enough for me to do this? Is 1 week good enough? Because it took the time for your body to create anything that's going on with it for it to be off balance. So at the same time, it's going to take some time as well for the balancing aspect to come through. So we can't determine, 1 week, 2 week, 1 month. It all depends on the individual and what's really going on with them, systemic wise.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that because, like, I know some people expect like the holistic way to be like end all be all, and they expect like, okay, I'm doing all these things, I'm eating beets, I'm taking vitamins, I'm cutting down on meat, I'm doing all this stuff, so I'll never need my prescription meds, or I'll never need an ER. And then sometimes I get discouraged when it's proven that, okay, I'm doing all those things, but there may come a time where I do need to use the ER, or I do need, to take my prescription medicine. So I'm glad you speak up.
Right, that's correct. Because let's say if you get sideswiped on the 285 and you need a major trauma team, you don't want to call an acupuncturist to come to the rescue, because that's just not going to work.
Right? That's hilarious.
I'm glad you brought up the acupuncturist because some people that has been very helpful for me, and I wish that I can continue with the acupuncture treatment. But some people are so afraid of needles that acupuncture is just out the window. But I've read up on acupressure. Is that pretty much similar? Does it has the same impact as acupuncture?
They both have benefits. For people that have a fear of needles, I'll tell them to try acupressure first. But really, even with acupuncture needles, it's not the needles that most people are thinking about. They're thinking of straight needle, like for blood drawing and stuff like that. The acupuncture needles are not that way at all. They so thin, it's like they hair thin. You do feel a little prick, but it's really not a puncture of the skin or anything like that. So it's just a matter of them. Sometimes they may have to observe it, see someone getting done, or even just feel the needle themselves and get over that fear and then make the attempt for it. But definitely acupressure is effective as well, very effective.
Good.
Okay.
That's a good one. Like I said, I really enjoy acupuncture. Um, the needles weren't a big deal for me. And like you said, they were really thin. So I found it to me afterwards, it was a high it was like a non-drug induced high for me. So it was
Right.
really
Yeah,
relaxed.
it is that natural healing process because what it is actually opening you up. It's letting the channels open, in your system and allow things to flow.
And
That's
does it
the
release toxins too? Like when you do acupuncture and acupressure, does it release some of the toxins that are in your body?
That's correct. It does release toxin, and there are methods that are used just to remove toxins only, and there are some for circulatory issues or different issues that people may have. So it does have that detox effect as well.
Okay. Um,
Very
so what would be your suggestion to someone who may not have um any holistic regimen at all in their current regimen? Like how would you suggest that they speak with their doctor? Like what conversation is it that they need to have with their physician, if they want to think about incorporating some small changes into their current regimen?
okay. For small changes, really do not require your physician approval. To be honest with you, I mean, it's always good to have a discussion if you feel better that way. But small thing I always tell people: if you're one of those individuals that enjoy fried food, get away from fried food. Start with more baked food, and
Okay.
that's like very basic, but it's so beneficial. And again, we go back to the basic vegetables. If you prefer just steam some vegetables, you don't have to have a whole bunch of it every single day. But that's the small changes that you start having. Therefore, then you could go to the larger thing because people start with just changing their diet, and the next thing you know, they fasting, they doing all type of yoga. It's a building aspect. But the basic, very basic, is just change some of the processed food and get real food. Eat some real fruits, not the little containers in the syrup, but the actual fruit itself. Where you cut it and eat the fruit. Those basic things, you don't need really a physician approval to do that unless you're in an extreme case where you have high blood sugar level. Therefore, they may have some restriction on the type of fruits you eat. But some basic things, I think that's where you start with.
Okay.
And what would you suggest to someone? Would you give that same suggestion or someone who's looking for remedies, I guess, for iron overload? How would they start trying to address that?
Well, let's start since we are speaking of sickle cell disease. I'm guessing the iron overload is as a result of blood transfusion, chronic blood transfusion, or therapeutic blood transfusion, as they call it. So therefore, I would tell them first and say, hey, can we modify this blood transfusion? I don't know how often the person is doing it. They're doing it once a month or 2 times a month. That's the first start to see how if we could modify actual transfusion themselves. then we could start looking into, as Jennifer mentioned before, some detox. Then we could start looking at taking supplement. Selenium is a great supplement. Tend not to start naming supplements. Reason being, people run out, they go to the big chain store that's selling guns, ammunition, tires, and their vitamins, and they think that's like the best vitamin. So therefore, I tend like not to rattle minerals and vitamins because, like I said, I love the approach of the individual approach and design something for someone based on their particular situation or condition.
Okay. So are there some places that you would suggest would be the better places to start as far as purchasing supplements?
Health food store. Because you usually find the individuals in there that will teach you, that will guide you with certain products, that will give you a heads up, and they tend to be neutral. They're not really pushing one particular product on you, so therefore you don't feel pressure. You have to buy this one, you have to buy that one. So therefore, a health food store is always where I recommend that people get their supplements, vitamins, minerals, and those type of things. Not, like I said, not a store that sells handguns and tires and everything else and have a
No
shelf
big
of
box
vitamins.
stores.
And they're thinking they're getting the greatest vitamin, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. But that's a whole different story.
So we can't get it from Dollar Tree.
Don't say a name.
See, I'm not gonna name any names myself.
My bad. The next question.
Right, moving on.
Talk about essential oils. And my first question with essential oils is it safe to ingest them? And two, what do you think of how effective is aromatherapy in our management?
Okay, so let's start with ingesting. Ingesting, I always say no, with some exceptions. Because number one, you don't want to ingest any essential oil because that's why it's called aromatherapy. It's supposed to be kind of smelling it. You could apply some of it topically to help. So you definitely don't want to ingest. But there are therapeutic essential oils that I've seen and people have taken in capsules, not directly swallow it, but in capsules, encapsulated, and they could take those internally. And I've seen where people use some very, very, very small amount of essential oils for sore throat. So it all depends, again, on therapeutic essentials, but overall, it's not something you want to ingest and just say, hey, it's fine, let me just take this. You do not want to do that. And if you're going to be involved in actually ingesting essentials, you want to get in contact with someone that's trained and that could assist you in that particular journey. But essential oils are excellent because the particles in there are so small, they literally go in your bloodstream within 2 to 3 seconds to make an impact. And what essential oils, the benefits of them is that they listen to the body. So essential oils pretty much know what's needed. So if you use one essential oil, let's say you have some type of thyroid condition, it's going to know if it's going to regulate it up or down automatically. Essential oil will do that. You don't need a specific drug for it. Oil will know exactly what regulation is needed for that particular individual. So they are excellent products. Once again, you got to use therapeutic grade essential oils.
So you can't like ingest it, like how people say you should be ingesting bleach for the coronavirus. Is that essentially the same?
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah, you definitely don't. I do not recommend ingesting unless you have proper guidance on how you're going to do it. But no, overall, I tell people no, do not ingest essential oils.
So, speaking about oils, I know this is an essential oil, but I hear a lot about oil of oregano. What is that good for?
It's a great antibacterial, oil of oregano. But again, I'll be mindful of ingesting anything like that. Oregano is definitely a very hot oil. It could do major damage to your
It
digestive system.
is.
your throat. So it's one of those things that, again, you gotta be mindful. Even on the skin, if you put it directly, it could burn your skin as well.
Oh wow.
But it has a strong antibacterial aspect.
I love golden seal. I hate the taste of golden seal, but I love golden seal. It's pretty potent. Or
Again, you name all these things that's very therapeutic and good. Yeah, go until it's good. The only thing with any type of oil, and that's included omega-3 oil, some people prefer to get the liquid and they keep it in the fridge and they may take a teaspoon or something like that. Personally, I do not recommend that. I said again, oils, because automatically once you open a bottle of oil, it's exposed to oxygen, it starts to create free radicals. Free radicals does not do well in the human body. Absolutely not. So you always want to take your omega-3s. They gotta be in a dark bottle. You want in capsule form, and that's how you want to take it. While we're on the topic of oils,
so anybody that's tuned in that has a question and wants to call in, our number is 770-376-7242. That's 770-376-7242. So let's switch gears a little bit. I want to be clear in saying that natural medicine is not a cure. I want to be very careful with saying that. But I truly believe that incorporating naturopathic medicine, along with a lot of other things, can minimize our sickle cell complications, not just sickle cell complications, but a lot of our health complications. Can you speak on that a little bit more?
well, I would agree. I'm very mindful using the word cure as well. Cure is for the medical community. It's for MDs to use that word, and very often they do not use it because they don't have any cures for many things. Um, but what I do suggest is the fact that some people call natural health alternative medicine. It's really not alternative because that's original medicine when we look at natural health. Because in the very beginning, that's what people use. Herbal therapies, they use acupuncture. All these natural health products or modalities have always been around for many centuries, decades, years, whatever, thousands of years, to be honest with you. So therefore, I would say it's complementary. So therefore, if you're still seeing your physician, you could add to it. So if you're taking a bath, for example, and you laying in the tub and you add some essential oils to your bath, it just enhances it. It makes it better. So I look at it the same way as natural health. It's just enhancing what you're doing with your standard medical care. It's taking it to the next level. So
Now,
that's kind of like how I would explain it. It's never one or the other. Some people think, you don't need this at all. We just need this. We don't need this at all. There's a place for everything. That's why they work together. So, that's like picking the most important thing in your hand. They all have their use. You can't just say, I don't need this one. I don't need that one.
I'm really glad you brought that up. And even with the enhancement, depending on the person, you could come off some medicine, but some of them you're gonna have to be on long term, possibly for life. Is that correct?
It all depends on the medication. I always say it because we weren't born just taking medicine. It's something that occurred, and eventually we acquired something, and we became out of balance, out of harmony. So therefore, the medication is included as part to kind of like stabilize things. So it's kind of like, let's say, instead of walking, you just get a pair of skates, but you never skated before. So in road, you be all over the place without balance or anything else. But if you go in the grass or on the thing, the skate is a little bit easier to manage if you're walking on grass versus on a wooden floor where it's slippery. So it's kind of like the same idea, with medication. At first, it's to help you, but then you want to find a medium ground where you could balance it off and eventually be weaned off.
So when you speak about it being complementary, the naturopathic medicine and the stuff that we get from the MDs, have there been any studies with naturopathic medicines and the new remedies that have been introduced for sickle cell, like by the FDA, has it been looked at? Has anyone looked at like what we can do naturally as well as the new remedies that they've come out with?
Well, there are plenty of research and studies. Usually, what I tell people, if they go to PubMed and they look at any type of natural remedies, they'll find a lot of information and research on PubMed, where it's a resource for a lot of excellent natural health research. What I have seen is, and again, I do my due diligence not to put out any specific name, but I know there's one particular um, medication that they came out for sickle cell disease that was based on amino acids, and they figured that that would help a lot with sickle cell patients. Where in the natural world, we always know amino acid are excellent for the body, but the way in natural health, where you supplement with amino acid, is not the same as what that particular drug will deliver. So it's kind of give you that baseline where you see a natural health research will actually compare and look at and see how a medication or pharmaceutical could be used within that aspect.
Okay.
I see. So let me ask you also, can I expect to like hit a reset button with my body? To because like you said earlier, we weren't born taking medicine. So is there a way that I could just reset my body to start incorporating it more and it have more of an effect? Or should I just wean off of one while I'm kind of increasing another at the same time?
Oh, excellent question. Thank you so much for asking that. In terms of weaning, I always tell people you always have to follow your instruction in terms of weaning. You have to do that to a medical doctor, your provider. But in terms of reset, I could tell you definitely that's a yes, 100% yes, as far as resetting your body, creating, because what many of us lose sight of is the fact that we are divine, we are powerful, we are strong, we are healthy. But eventually, we start going to school, we start listening to people, we start listening to media, and we get to condition and expect certain negative things. Like people automatically say, well, the older you get, the worse your body gets. And people talk about my bad knees. And there's no such thing as my bad knees. Or, you have a condition in the knee, so therefore let's repair that and your knees are fine. It's just we have to change the way we think. We have to change the way we speak. That's the first thing. One of the biggest things that's going around now is what and people tend not to realize corona means crown. That's your head. But if you start Googling corona now, that's what's going to come. It's COVID-19, COVID-19. And now realize that the crown of your head, your higher self, is what corona will start off with.
Interesting. Right there, Parnell. That was a word. I like that. So it gives people hope to, because I know some people are like they just shy away, completely turn away from the naturopathic or the holistic medicine because they don't believe in it. With me, anything that you believe in will work. If you believe in it enough, it can't help but to work. So that's a good way for people to keep in mind, to just that it is possible to reset your body and start to put the proper things in it. In resetting your body though, we've taken a lot of prescription meds. So what would you suggest for people to detox the liver? Because I know opioids can affect the liver. So what would you say to start out with maybe detoxing the liver?
Okay, the very first thing, we are even taking anything in particular, is changing your attitudes. The liver works a lot with emotion. So therefore, that's the first baseline without even taking any herbs or anything like that. It's change your emotions, how you react to things, how you think about things. Because the liver stores and keep emotions. So the more you get angry, the more you get frustrated, the more you get resentment, and all these things actually minimize the function of the liver. So therefore, these things we have complete control of. It's just a matter of applying our thoughts, our mind, to rectify that. It's easier to switch our mind than it is to take products to swallow and hoping that it's going to work. So, but there are herbal remedies that can restore the liver. There's basic teas you could drink. Lots of water is always excellent with the liver. But I would start with the basics, your emotions, because your emotion plays a key role with your liver.
So, people when people think of naturopathic medicine, I know that a lot of people automatically think of like herbs and vitamins and supplements and all that kind of stuff, but it's really more involved in that. Can you like speak to the different ways that you can use naturopathic medicine? Like what other methods, like the acupuncture, and what other things you can do that are natural remedies that not only include supplements?
Right. So therefore, you are correct. It goes beyond just supplementing and taking vitamins and everything else. There's also, we talk about the essential oils. There's also Ayurvedic medicine, which is from India, the type of medicine. Yoga is considered a natural health. Meditation, basic meditation is considered a natural health therapy. Light therapy, like that nice yellow you're wearing, if it's emotionally, if it energizes you, then therefore they call that color therapy. There's actual class that they teach people about color therapy, how to regulate your emotion with using different colors. There's Reiki energy healing. There's so many modalities out there. That's why we do have a lot of choices, but people are resistant because they just never heard of these things. So
Right.
therefore, if they haven't heard of it, then they just feel like, oh, that is nothing valid. But there's a lot of points to a lot of these things. That's why there's a basic thing called earthing now, which I see a lot of people are doing, which is basically taking off your shoes and standing on the grass, on the dirt, not on concrete, but on grass or dirt, to connect with the earth, because we are an electrical body. So therefore, that brings balance to your body. So earthing is another method, modality in natural health, but there's plenty of them.
I just wanted people to know, because I know some people get a little bit, nervous when it's like, oh no, it's something else I have to take or whatever. But I wanted people to know that they can pretty much start in a million different ways, trying to go a more natural path, whichever is more comfortable to them.
Right, breathing is one of them. Breathing just changed our whole anatomy. To be honest with you, it relaxes you completely just from the breath, because the breath is life. You want to change your life, change the way you breathe.
Mm, it's interesting that you put it that way. And I actually like grounding. I like feeling my feet in the wet grass. Maybe I've learned to like it since I do it more often now. But especially like in the morning when the sun is up, because it's too cold before then, and even in May. So just put my feet out there and do a little bit of yoga stretching. To me, yoga is physical therapy. So just stretching a little bit, whatever feels tight, especially after being asleep the whole night. So, or attempting to be asleep the whole night. So just stretching those joints or whatever that have stiffened up overnight. But I absolutely love the grounding method. um I don't even know how I came across that, but it's soothing for me, to say the least.
There's a rule in even in natural health and in life. Whatever you're searching for, nature always provides. The universe always provides. So that's why sometimes I tell people, sometimes you may not be aware of something, but you get a hunch, intuition. That's just nature talking to you. That's spirit talking to you and lets you know it. You could get guidance. So that's why I always tell people, health is our standard divine state. So although we maybe have challenges with wellness and everything else, but our pure health is who we are. That's what we are about. So we could always get back to that state, but we have to have that willing mind and accept it, and then take the process, because it is a journey.
It's a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong
Yes.
journey, especially living with sickle cell, because sickle cell will not go away. It doesn't take any days off, so we don't need to take any days off with trying to defeat it and just trying to live a better life with it. So
But you're right. And you and I know each other personally, and I think I gave you my story, because it's been over 20 years since I had an actual sickle cell episode. And of course, I was born and diagnosed with sickle cell disease SS, but it's been over 20 years that I ever felt, any type of major pain that got me in a hospital, but I was related to a whole different slew of stuff that actually transposed to that type of level. But it can be done. Like I said, it is a journey, it is a process, and it's constantly modifying, making changes, and noticing what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and get accustomed to that lifestyle.
love it. I love it. How do we get more people on board?
I think the best way to get people on board is to be living examples, because sometimes it seems far easier just to tell people what to do versus us doing ourselves and then teach others how to do it. So the number one rule is to apply it to ourselves and then be living examples, because that's what light workers are. We are light workers. Therefore, if you want to shine your light, you got to keep your light brighter. So therefore, you eliminate darkness, because darkness is only an absence of light.
Look at you.
But I think there's like a shift happening. I don't know if you see it, but I've seen it within the sickle cell community. I can't speak for other communities, but I've seen a shift within our community of people wanting and kind of thirsting for knowledge outside of what we get from the doctors, and researching other things that we can do. I think the medical marijuana thing passing kind of was like an open door for so many other things to happen. And I see a shift. I see more people being more curious and wanting to eat differently, wanting to do different things other than what we've been doing, and trying to be like, okay, there has to be another way for us to live, for us to survive. Because living with sickle cell is not just, okay, let me just survive this day. It's like we want to live just like everyone else and experience the best that life has to offer as well. And just merely surviving isn't enough for us.
Right.
I would agree with you, Jennifer. There's definitely a shift occurring, and it's more than just within the sickle cell community. I think it's overall, just everything that's going on. Life is always about extension, and then obviously as a generation of people, we finally realizing that, and some of us are elevating our thoughts. So therefore, we are being driven to different aspects and different choices. Just the other day, I was on a conference, on a medical conference, and there's a couple of hospitals that are actually treating individuals with vitamin C IVs, and this is standard medical hospital. So that goes to show you that people, yes, they are expanding, they're looking for that shift, and everyone is doing their best to provide greater outcomes and better choices for individuals. So I think you're right on point with that. And I would go on a whole different level with you on it, which is something that occurred that they call that intergalactic star opening, a Stargate opening that just occurred back in early, was it, when May now? I believe it was in April, but that's a whole different topic.
Okay. Well, I
It
guess
goes in alignment with that shift you notice.
yeah, I mean, like it's definitely happening, and I'm seeing like it in waves. So, and I know that the community is often burdened by, things that happen, losing our friends and things like that. But on the other hand, with the bad that's happening, there's also a lot of good. And I just hope that people see that as well and can take that and help balance out, the things that we're experiencing that may not be as happy.
I think one of the things that we kind of need to modify a little bit too within just not us, but with our immediate family, our friends. Sometimes when we have someone close to us that transition, we use that term transition because they just move from a physical world to a spiritual world. So that's a transition and that's just a change. But when we look at people as lost, we lost someone, they're not lost. We could lose a watch and misplace it. But individuals, they drop their body and they keep moving forward into a cycle of life. So therefore, I think for us, when we have someone near us that, transition over, we don't think about it as loss because that person is actually nearer to us and can actually hear us and hear the things we're thinking about them, the love that we have for them, they all that is there with us. So therefore, we have to kind of change that dialect a little bit when we start saying people are lost. They're not lost. They do transition. We have to drop the body eventually, but they're not lost.
Well, I'm so glad that you kind of said that because that allows me to segue a little bit. Because we did want to make sure we honored and mentioned someone who made their transition just recently. Mia and I know her from Camp New Hope, and I know a lot of the ladies in the sickle cell community know her from the group chat and the groups that we were in, EV based, and she's no longer here with us physically. And I know that a lot of people are hurting because of that. And, for some people, that's a trigger for depression or anxiety or, all these different things that we feel as a community. So I just wanted to take a moment and just honor her and her family. And the fact that you said that just now kind of gave me the opportunity to say that in this moment. And hopefully, those words that you just said will give life to those who are currently having a hard time processing this.
I
So,
also
go
I
ahead.
also wanted to bring up Nikki Peterson and her family. We also lost
Mhm.
Nikki in the advocacy world, and
And
I
she
speak
was
of
a light.
yeah, she was definitely a light. And one of our friends said, I don't even want to befriend any more people with sickle cell because it hurts too much. And Jennifer and I know we've lost, we can't even count anymore how many friends that we've lost to this disease. But we draw on their strength to keep fighting because we're still here. And it's actually comforting for me to know that they're no longer struggling with sickle cell. They're no longer struggling with this craziness that we're dealing with. So it's comforting for me. But that's just me. That's not everybody. So yes, like Jennifer said, I really hope that what you shared about that specifically help those that are watching, those that will watch, that really need that reassurance and comforting right now.
Well, we send all the love and blessings to the family, friends, relatives, everyone that, love and light in their life. So to give them the strength that they need. So we definitely have to share that.
Absolutely. So I did have one last question for you. I'm sorry. Now, how can we tackle acute pain from a naturopathic standpoint? Like, I know if I'm really hurting right now, if I'm dealing with a vaso-occlusive crisis, ain't no amount of salad gonna help me right in this. So, what can
Let me
I do
eat some
in
spinach.
those spinach on it real quick? What can I do in those moments of like really level 8 pain and I just need something that's gonna work ASAP?
Okay, so now again, we're gonna go back to individual tolerance level because your level 8 is not gonna be the same for someone else as a level 8. So therefore, again, we go back and forth on the tolerance level. One of the things I say, usually based on where that pain is, there's certain essential oils that work immediately on certain joints. Like if your elbow's hurting you, if it's chest pain, then that's why I say, hey, you may want to go to emergency because we need to find out what's going on. Now, I wouldn't advise just let's try some massage oil on your chest and stuff like that because we know there could be a little bit more traumatic events going on. So therefore, that's when you have to go to acute care. But I have seen where even myself in extreme acute pain and go get an acupuncture session. And that will be individuals that know the points there because the actual points for sickle cell disease, there's only one person in Atlanta. I know if she does that, and that's because we've shared those information and the documentation and the research with her. She's a licensed acupuncturist, and she can pull someone out of acute pain. But again, I always say, based on the individual, sometimes, if the person is in so much pain, their oxygen level drop, you may want to go to the acute care, get medical attention because you don't want to just do just the acupuncture if you really need to be, on constant IVs or oxygen, something like that. So again, we have to use some judgment. It's not a one thing for all, once again.
So I thought I was done, but I do have one more question. Before we thank our sponsors. So like say me is talking about like a level 8 pain, but say it's something that's super moderate where you may usually take like a regular Tylenol. And I'm not just talking about sickle cell pain, but like just random regular people. Does light therapy help in those types of situations? Like, pointing a blue light or a red light or whatever, like, can that help in like those real moderate, mild instances of pain?
Now, actually, when you're dealing with moderate pain like that, light therapy actually would not be so beneficial because based on the person's pain, like if it's a migraine or a headache or something like that, actually they may not need light. They may need total darkness and quietness and silence to calm down versus actual light. So it's not always the case where light will be beneficial.
Okay. Well,
Dr. Abraham, first tell us where we can find your support group meetings because I absolutely love them and they are full of knowledge to help us and to motivate us to keep going. So now that we're virtual, how can we tune into your support group meetings?
And that's a good question, Mia. I'm glad you asked that because we're looking at options if we're going to do the support group virtual. The only challenge with doing virtual support group meeting is confidentiality. We don't want to be live on anywhere else where someone may be sharing something very personal or medical condition that's personal and have that virtual for everyone to see. So we have to respect people's confidentiality. So as far as virtual, we haven't reached that decision yet, but we normally would meet every second Saturday of the month. And the best way to find out our location is calling the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia because we're in direct contact with them as far as our location. But we've been on hiatus right now because of social distancing, contact. So we haven't picked up yet. I am going to have a meeting to see if we could restart in July. Again, that's to be determined based on how social distancing and what's going on out there is kind of make its way out because client safety is to me is number one. People could always reach me via email and get in contact with me. I share information with individuals, but definitely safety is a priority. So therefore, we don't want anyone out in group meeting where they don't need to be.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a wealth of knowledge. I wish we had a whole nother hour because I'm sure there's more questions that we could ask, and we're just really appreciative for you joining us. But we also want to thank our sponsors. and everyone who's
Yeah.
tuned in with us today.
Yes, let's thank our sponsors, Mr. Moore with the Apex Museum. We absolutely love them. If we're still able to get out a little bit, I know Georgia reopened. I'm not sure of the social distancing rules, but you guys have to check out the Apex Museum. It's awesome. Our next sponsor is Miss Tanya Robinson with Kids Stop Daycare and Learning Center. It's absolutely awesome over there. They've also been on hiatus, but the learning never stops. So those kids are still learning a bunch of knowledge. And we also want to thank the Black Professionals Network for reaching out to us and also helping us out with trying to put the show on. We give a huge shout out to Jack, whose birthday is today.
Happy
So
birthday, Jack.
you to our show manager. To our show manager. So thank you. We also absolutely have to give a shout out to our warrior moms, such as Jennifer, such as my mom, such as Jennifer's mom, and all those moms that are not only dealing with sickle cell, but just holding the fort down the best way they can. The ones that are single moms, that are wives, that are just doing it all. We celebrate you, we thank you, and we love all of you. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for inviting me again.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll have
you.
you back soon.
Thank you. I welcome it. It's an honor and pleasure. Thank you again.
Awesome.
Deadly combo. Black Prophet. Charlie Black AR the Prophet.
AR the Prophet, Charlie Black, a deadly combination. Hold up, I don't think they heard me. I said, AR the Prophet, Charlie Black, a deadly combination. Hey yo, turn me up a little. We good. AR the Prophet, Charlie Black, a deadly combination. It's been long overdue, I know the streets been waiting. Which takes a lot of patience, cause you never rush straight. This one's for the record, but going down history in the making. AR the Prophet, Charlie Black, a deadly combination. It's been long overdue, I know the